Imagine a day in your life when everything seems to collapse around you. People are criticizing you. Circumstances are against you. Your plans have failed and inside you feel broken. In such moments, most people either explode in anger, surrender to despair, or start blaming everything around them. But the Stoics believed that these very moments are the true test of strength. Mental toughness is not measured when life is easy, but when control slips away and only your reaction remains. Life will never place everything in your hands, but your mind is always yours. And that is the greatest weapon you will ever carry, your ability to rule your own thoughts. The first principle of Stoicism is simple but life-changing. Focus only on what you can control and let go of what you can't. Your time, other people's behavior, the outcome of your efforts, or the unpredictable future. None of this is fully in your power. Yet your choices, your actions, and your response are always within your command. The moment you turn your energy toward your own actions instead of external noise, you take back your strength. No rejection, loss, or insult can break you if you never hand over your mind to them. The second principle is to treat discomfort as your teacher. Most people worship the comfort zone as if it is paradise. But in truth, it is a slow poison. The Stoics taught that difficulties are not curses. They are training grounds. When you embrace voluntary hardship, fasting, cold showers, silence, or facing your fears, you prepare your spirit for life's inevitable storms. You build the mental armor that ordinary people lack. Then when real adversity strikes, you are not caught off guard. You are like a soldier who has already trained in harsher conditions. Then the battlefield itself, what feels unbearable to others, becomes familiar to you, because you have chosen to face struggle before life forces it on you. The third Stoic principle that forges inner strength is freedom from external validation. Most people are slaves to opinions, chasing praise, likes, approval, and fearing criticism. But as long as your sense of worth depends on others, you will never be truly free. The Stoics believe that true strength comes when you only need the approval of your own conscience. If your intentions are pure and your actions align with your values, then applause and insults should weigh the same. With this mindset, you become unshakable, because you no longer allow others to define you. Your self-worth belongs to you and no one can take it away. Then comes one of the deepest truths of Stoicism. Memento mori, remember that you will die. Life will end, perhaps sooner than you think. Every breath, every day brings you closer to that final moment. To most people, this idea feels depressing, but in reality, it is liberating. Why? Because when you truly grasp that time is limited, you stop wasting it. Laziness, procrastination, distractions, and meaningless conflicts lose their grip on you. Every day becomes a precious gift. Every choice becomes purposeful and your focus sharpens. Mental strength grows when you live with urgency and clarity, refusing to be disturbed by trivial matters. Death is not an enemy. It is a reminder that you must live fully right now. The Stoics also taught that emotions are not reality. Anger, fear, sadness, they rise and fall like waves, but they are not permanent, nor are they the truth. To mistake them for reality is to become their prisoner. The strong mind learns to observe emotions rather than obey them. Imagine sitting by the sea, watching waves come and go. That is how you must treat your emotions. See them, feel them, but do not drown in them. When you refuse to let emotions dictate your choices, you gain the resilience to stay steady, no matter what storm rages around you. This practice builds an unshakable calm, the mark of true strength. Finally, discipline is freedom. To most people, discipline feels like restriction, but to the Stoics, it is the highest form of liberty. A man ruled by impulses, desires, and temptations is a slave, but a man who masters himself, who can say no to weakness and yes to strength, is truly free. Discipline means you are no longer at the mercy of your urges. You command them. And when you command yourself, no external force can control you. This is where mental strength reaches its foundation. Disciplined mind can endure anything, because it has already conquered itself. This is where the journey begins. The first steps of Stoicism may appear simple, but they are weapons of the mind. Control your response. Train through discomfort, reject validation, remember mortality, master emotions, and embrace discipline. These are not just ideas. They are practices that forge steel within your spirit. Once you live them, nothing in this world can easily shake you. Think about how often your mind is consumed by resistance to what has already happened. Resistance to what you cannot change. Resistance to the reality that stands in front of you. This resistance is the greatest source of suffering. not the events themselves. The Stoics taught a principle that seems almost impossible but is the secret to resilience. Amor fati, love your fate. Do not just accept what happens, but embrace it as if it was written precisely for you. The pain, the setbacks, the losses. See them not as curses but as chapters of your story. A person who learns to love fate becomes untouchable. Life cannot break someone who welcomes every blow as necessary for growth. When you stop wishing for things to be easier, you start becoming stronger. This is why Stoicism insists that hardship is fuel, not poison. Every obstacle becomes material for greatness. Marcus Aurelius wrote that the impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. Imagine how powerful this shift is. Instead of crying, "Why me?" you ask, "How can I use this?" That mindset transforms suffering into strength and turns every enemy into a teacher. Another principle of mental strength is silence. In a world where everyone reacts, where every insult demands a reply and every opinion becomes an argument, silence is power. The weak mind is quick to shout, to defend, to attack. But the strong mind knows that silence often carries more weight than words. When you hold back your reaction, you keep control. You show that no one else can dictate your state of mind. To remain calm when others try to provoke you is not weakness, it is mastery. A single moment of silence can save you from hours of regret. It is not that you cannot respond. It is that you choose not to. That choice is strength. The Stoics also remind us that true focus should never be on outcomes but on virtue. The world will judge you by results, but you must judge yourself by the integrity of your actions. You cannot always control whether you succeed or fail, whether people reward you or betray you, but you can always control whether you acted with courage, justice, wisdom, and discipline. The man who does the right thing, regardless of reward, carries a strength deeper than gold. Results may fade, fortunes may change, but character remains. To anchor yourself in virtue is to build a fortress inside your mind that no storm can destroy. One of the most profound practices the Stoics used for strengthening the mind is negative visualization. At first it sounds dark, to imagine loss, to picture pain, to think about failure. But this is not pessimism, it is preparation. By imagining loss, you learn to appreciate what you already have. By rehearsing adversity in your mind, you become ready for it when it comes. When you think, "What if I lost my home, my job, my loved ones, even my life?" you are not inviting despair. You are strengthening your spirit so that nothing can surprise you. You begin to live with gratitude, and at the same time, you develop an armor against future pain. The person who is mentally prepared for loss cannot be destroyed by it. Another principle the Stoics lived by was detachment from possessions. The world teaches us to measure ourselves by what we own. But this is a dangerous illusion. The moment you let possessions define you, you become their prisoner. A broken car, a lost deal, a stolen object, all of these begin to wound your spirit if you believe they are part of your worth. The Stoics remind us that nothing external truly belongs to us. Wealth can vanish, beauty fades, and status shifts like sand in the wind. What remains is only who you are when stripped of everything. Mental strength is built when you stop clinging to possessions and start valuing simplicity. A free mind cannot be robbed. And finally, the Stoics taught that to be strong is to live in harmony with nature. Not just the physical world, but the natural order of life itself. Life flows with beginnings and endings, with seasons of growth and decay, with gains and losses. To fight against this rhythm is to exhaust yourself. But when you align your actions with reason, with virtue, and with the flow of existence, you find peace. The storms do not disappear, but you learn to move with them rather than against them. To live according to nature is to stop demanding that life bend to your will and instead to bend yourself into harmony with truth. That acceptance is not weakness, it is wisdom. Taken together, these principles form a new way of thinking. To love fate, to embrace obstacles, to guard silence, to live for virtue, to practice negative visualization, to detach from possessions, and to walk in harmony with nature. This is the blueprint for unshakable strength. Each of these is not just an idea to admire, but a practice to live. The more you live them, the stronger your mind becomes. Life will never run out of challenges, but with a Stoic spirit, you will never run out of strength. There comes a time when you realize that true strength is not about never falling, it is about always rising again. Life will knock you down, often harder than you imagined, And the weak mind asks, why me? But the Stoic mind asks, what now? This simple shift changes everything. A Stoic does not waste time drowning in self-pity. He sees each fall as an opportunity to stand taller than before. Resilience is not natural, it is trained. And the training begins every time you choose to get back up. One of the greatest lessons of Stoicism is that suffering is not in the event itself, but in your judgment of it. If you decide that something is unbearable, it will break you. If you decide it is endurable, it will strengthen you. The same loss, the same insult, the same pain can destroy one man and build another. The difference lies only in the judgment they place upon it. Epictetus taught that men are disturbed not by things, but by the opinions they form about things. To master your judgments is to master your life. This principle alone can turn chaos into calm, pain into progress, and hardship into wisdom. Another truth the Stoics embraced is that comparison is poison. How often do people look at others and measure their own worth by what they lack? But mental strength collapses the moment you build it on competition. Stoicism teaches you to look inward, not outward. Your path is yours alone, and it is measured only against the person you were yesterday. Every time you compare yourself to someone else's journey, you hand away your peace. But when you focus only on your own growth, you become unshakable. Envy and jealousy cannot touch. The man who knows his value is not in being better than others, but in being better than himself. Then comes the principle of presence. The mind is weak when it is chained to the past or enslaved by the future. Regret and anxiety are the greatest thieves of peace. But the present moment is always within reach, always under your control. The Stoics taught that the past is gone, the future is uncertain, but the present is real, and it is all you truly own. If you can train yourself to live fully in this moment, to act with intention here and now, your strength will multiply. Nothing can disturb the man who has rooted himself in the present, because nothing can pull him away from what he already possesses. Another principle is to separate pain from suffering. Pain is inevitable. Suffering is optional. The Stoics faced exile, loss, betrayal, and even death, but they trained their minds to endure pain without letting it consume their spirit. You cannot stop life from bringing pain, but you can stop yourself from adding unnecessary suffering through fear, complaints, and resistance. A cut may sting, but it heals faster if you do not keep scratching it. The Stoics also practiced gratitude as a form of mental training, not the shallow gratitude that only appears when life is smooth, but a deep gratitude that exists even in hardship. Gratitude for breath, for the ability to think, for the chance to act with virtue even in the darkest moment. This kind of gratitude is unshakable because it does not depend on circumstances. A man who is grateful for simply being alive cannot be broken by what he lacks. Gratitude turns scarcity into abundance and chaos into peace. It sharpens the mind to see opportunities where others only see obstacles. Another vital practice for mental strength is detaching from the need to control others. Most conflict in life arises from the attempt to change people, to force them to think, act, or feel the way you want. But the Stoics remind us, you cannot control anyone but yourself. To waste your energy on trying to bend others to your will is to surrender your own power. Freedom comes when you accept people as they are and focus only on your own actions. This does not mean tolerating injustice. It means recognizing that your strength is not in forcing others, but in living your principles so strongly that others cannot shake you. And at the heart of it all is the principle of inner freedom. A Stoic may be chained physically, exiled politically, or even facing death itself, but inside he remains free. True freedom is not in doing whatever you want. It is in not being enslaved by desires, fears, or emotions. The man who can walk through fire without letting it burn his spirit is free, no matter his circumstances. This is the highest form of mental strength, and it is available to anyone willing to practice the Stoic path. When you bring all these principles together, resilience, judgment, freedom from comparison, presence, endurance of pain, gratitude, release of control, and inner freedom, you find yourself transformed. Life will not get easier. In fact, it may get harder. But you will get stronger, and in the end, strength is not the absence of struggle. It is the ability to remain unbroken no matter how fierce the storm. The Stoics did not teach philosophy to sound wise. They lived it because it was the only way to rise above chaos and claim true peace. The same path is open to you. The question is, will you walk it? There is a truth about the human mind that few are willing to confront. Most of our suffering is self-created. We live in chains that we ourselves forged, chains of fear, of desire, of ego, of attachment. Stoicism is not about breaking the world's chains. It is about breaking the ones we carry inside. The more you learn to free your mind from these invisible prisons, the more unshakable you become. A strong mind is not one that controls the world, but one that controls itself. One of the greatest inner chains is fear. Fear of failure, fear of rejection, fear of loss, fear of death. Fear is the most persistent enemy of peace. But Stoics teach that fear loses its power when you look it in the eye. Every time you avoid fear, it grows larger. Every time you face it, it shrinks. The mind becomes strong not by running from what it dreads, but by walking directly into it. Once you realize that fear is just an exaggerated shadow of reality, it stops ruling you. Death itself, the greatest fear, becomes a companion once you accept its inevitability. If you can look at death and still choose to live with courage, what else could possibly defeat you? Another chain is desire. People imagine that fulfilling every desire will make them happy. But the Stoics saw the opposite. The more you chase, the emptier you become. Desire is endless, and the moment one is satisfied, another rises. To be enslaved by desires is to be forever restless. The strong mind is not the one that has everything, but the one that needs little. When you detach yourself from craving and learn contentment with simplicity, you gain the wealth of kings. You are no longer a beggar to pleasure or possessions. You are free. This freedom is the essence of strength. Then comes ego. Ego is the most dangerous illusion, because it convinces you that you are more than you are, or that the world owes you something. Ego demands recognition. It craves superiority. It is offended by the smallest insult. The Stoics taught humility as a weapon against this poison. Remembering your mortality, remembering that you are just one small part of nature, remembering that time will erase even the greatest empires, this dissolves ego. The humble man is not weak. He is invincible because no insult can pierce him, and no praise can inflate him. He stands grounded, untouched by the illusions that make others fragile. Attachment is another subtle prison. We cling to people, to outcomes, to identities, believing that losing them will destroy us. But attachment blinds us to the truth. Everything is temporary. People leave, circumstances change. Even the self you think you are today will not be the same tomorrow. The Stoic mind loves deeply but without clinging, acts with passion but without ownership. To hold everything loosely is to be free from despair when it passes. This does not mean indifference, it means loving without chains, living without fear of loss because you have already accepted its possibility. Another principle the Stoics remind us of is the power of perspective. Events in themselves are not good or bad. It is our perception that paints them as such. The strong mind trains itself to look beyond the surface, to see the hidden advantage in misfortune and the hidden danger in comfort. What others call tragedy, a Stoic may call training. What others celebrate as success, a Stoic may see as a test. Perspective turns the same fire that burns others into the fire that forges you. To change your perspective is to change your reality, and that is the highest strength a mind can possess. There is also the discipline of daily reflection. The Stoics did not trust memory or vague intentions. They practiced constant self-examination. At night, they reviewed their day, where they succeeded, where they failed, where they could improve. This was not self-punishment but self-mastery. A strong mind is not born in one day. It is carved slowly through reflection and correction. To pause and look inward every day is to sharpen your sword before battle. Without reflection, you are blind to your own weaknesses. With reflection, you become your own teacher. And finally, the Stoics remind us that life is not about length but about depth. People spend years chasing longevity, forgetting that what matters is not how long you live, but how well. A single day lived with courage, virtue, and presence is worth more than decades lived in fear and distraction. Strength comes from living fully now, from aligning every action with your highest principles. When you live like this, death cannot take anything from you, because you have already lived completely. When you combine all these truths, facing fear, detaching from desire, dissolving ego, loosening attachment, shifting perspective, reflecting daily, and living deeply, you create a mind that is not just strong but unbreakable. The storms of life will always come, but they will find no weakness in you. You will stand rooted like a tree that bends with the wind but never breaks. That is the ultimate promise of Stoicism, not that life will spare you suffering, but that no suffering will ever destroy you. In the end, all philosophy must return to action. Words and ideas mean nothing if they are not lived. The Stoics did not spend their lives writing theories to impress people. They forged principles that could be practiced in the marketplace, in the battlefield in exile, and even on the edge of death. A mind becomes strong not by listening to wisdom but by embodying it daily. This is the final test of Stoicism, to live your principles when it matters most. It is easy to be calm when no one provokes you, but strength is revealed when insults cut deep and you still remain steady. It is easy to be disciplined when life flows smoothly, but strength is revealed when temptation whispers and you refuse to obey. It is easy to believe in virtue when others agree, but strength is revealed when you stand for what is right while the world mocks you. These are the moments where philosophy leaves the page and enters the soul. A Stoic mind is not built in comfort. It is built in fire. To build this strength, you must understand that every day is training, life is your arena, and every event is a test. Each insult is an exam of patience. Each failure is a lesson in resilience. Each temptation is an opportunity for discipline. Each loss is a practice in detachment. The strong mind does not ask for an easier life, it asks for the strength to endure whatever life sends. Every challenge becomes a chance to practice Stoicism. If you see life this way, nothing is wasted, because everything becomes fuel for growth. But there is a danger as well, the danger of forgetting. Even the strongest mind can slip when it grows careless. That is why Stoics emphasize daily practice, not occasional bursts of wisdom. Morning meditation, journaling, reflection, visualizing hardship, remembering mortality. These were their tools to keep philosophy alive. A soldier does not polish his sword once and call it ready forever. He sharpens it daily. In the same way, you must sharpen your mind. Without practice, philosophy becomes decoration. With practice, it becomes armor. Another truth that makes the mind strong is to understand your place in the universe. You are not the center of everything, but a part of a greater whole. The Stoics often reminded themselves that they were actors in a play directed by nature. You do not choose your role, but you can choose how well you play it. Whether fate casts you as a beggar or a king, your task is to perform with dignity. To rebel against your role is useless. To perform it with excellence is freedom. This perspective removes bitterness and builds strength, because you stop asking, why me? And start asking, how can I play my role well? And yet strength does not mean becoming cold or unfeeling. Stoicism is often misunderstood as emotionless, but the truth is deeper. The Stoic mind feels deeply but does not become a slave to feelings. It loves without clinging, it mourns without collapsing, it rejoices without attachment. True strength is not the absence of feeling, it is the mastery of feeling. The weak mind swings wildly with every emotion, but the strong mind feels fully and still chooses wisely. Gratitude, humility, courage, discipline, acceptance, these are not separate virtues but threads woven into one fabric. Together they form the Stoic life, and when lived consistently, they create a kind of inner power that no fortune, no enemy, no tragedy can destroy. This is why emperors like Marcus Aurelius and slaves like Epictetus could share the same strength, because Stoicism does not depend on status or circumstance. It depends only on the choices you make with your mind. The final principle is simple yet eternal. Live now. Do not postpone strength, do not delay virtue. Do not wait for tomorrow to practice wisdom. Tomorrow is not promised. Death may arrive tonight. The only time you have is this moment, and it is enough. If you live today with courage, with discipline, with acceptance, then you have already lived a full life. Nothing more is needed. The strong mind is one that has no regrets, because it has lived every moment as if it were complete in itself. So the path of Stoicism is not an escape from life but a deeper embrace of it. It is a way to meet every storm without fear, to face every loss without despair, to endure every trial without breaking. It is a way to live with such strength that even death cannot rob you of peace. This is what it means to be truly mentally strong. Not that the world bends to you, but that nothing in the world can bend you. And now the choice is yours. Philosophy cannot walk for you. Words cannot protect you. Only practice, only daily living, only your own will can make you strong. The Stoics have shown the way, but you must walk it. When you do, you will discover that no matter what life throws at you, your mind will remain unshakable, your spirit unbroken, and your strength eternal.